Jeff. Oh, what's
hey,
the matter?
There you are.
Yes.
I think I don't have enough RAM on this thing. I'm trying to print these pictures.
Oh.
And I've got the network all jammed up. So I think I've crashed. I'm gonna have to reboot. So I've been waiting for you.
Yes.
Would
Pictures.
you like a little tea or?
Oh, yes, thank you very much.
Yeah. I'm looking over some of the pictures that Benny used in his module for the network training, and deciding which ones I want to use for my class today, because I thought that was a pretty good module, and I think the participants also thought it was good. If I remember correctly, Benny got the highest marks in the feedback from the participants, and I think part of the reason was people like working with pictures.
Yes. Some great pictures. What was his presentation about? It was about visuals?
It was using the whiteboard, but we kind of incorporated Neil's morning slot of using visuals. So it was a combination of whiteboard and visuals, and we made a bunch of little portable whiteboards. And I think he actually put these up on the whiteboard. So the whiteboard's not just for drawing, it's also for sticking things up or propping things up to put on display for students to see or choose in preparation for an activity. And we're gonna watch a clip with Benny today. So we went to the Clip Arts CD-ROMs that, I don't know if you remember, I showed it in an earlier episode in my office, and I looked for a travel topic, and lo and behold, I found these tourism pictures.
Yeah, they look great. What have you got?
They're okay. I looked at them and I thought, well, it's not Thailand. It looks like maybe Switzerland or Germany or something. They all look a little bit European. So what I tried to do for Benny when I selected them was I tried to find sort of universal pictures. Here's a guy with a soccer ball. I mean, Thai students love football. Here, this man's carving something, and it's a kind of handicraft. Sort of an OTOP theme. And here's one that I think you'll.
That's great. Look at that.
Yeah, it's.
Yes, that's typical.
If you look at this, you've got two people, and what do you suppose their relationship might be?
Oh, I guess they must be married.
Yeah, maybe
Yes.
maybe husband and wife. I don't know. Well, yeah, they look sort of happy, but I think that they're maybe not sure about which way to go. You know how it is when you're traveling in an unfamiliar place. So you have these situations that I think invite a dialogue, invite some sort of conversation, communication. Here's one that I chose. I don't know if anybody used it, but it's a guy holding a lobster.
Yes.
Now,
What is he having a conversation with a lobster? Is that it?
Is it possible that the lobster has eyes that look almost human?
Yes. What is he saying?
Well, the man might say, "Hey, you look good enough to eat," and the lobster would say, maybe try to talk him out of it. What might the lobster say?
Try to convince him why he shouldn't be killed and eaten. Yeah, perhaps.
No, I'm too small. I think you should throw me back in the sea. And he said, no, you're just my size. And anyways, you could have a silly, crazy little conversation with that. Here's one that I think was very popular with people. It's one with a shy woman and a kind of a tough-looking guy. And what's he doing there? He's
giving her a rose.
He's giving her a rose,
and she feels shy and she's turned away.
But is she smiling?
Yes.
Okay.
She's very pleased.
So it's kind of a flirtation. It's maybe maybe he's going to invite her out for a date. And I think that's exactly the kind of conversation that the participants in the seminar came up with. That this would be a kind of hey, you're beautiful. Oh, you're just a sweet mouth. No, seriously, let me buy you a rose. And the conversation continues. And the great thing is these have a cartoon-like quality. And when people come up with a dialogue for them, the cartoon quality lends itself to humor. So people, when they build a conversation around these cartoon pictures, are going to build sort of funny conversations. And if you remember in an earlier episode, we talked about how to make conversations fun. Well, use funny pictures. It's important when you're thinking about visuals to remember that teachers often just sort of talk. We often talk about chalk and talk. They write a bunch of words on the board, and that's about as visual as a lot of classrooms get. And they talk. And I think here in Thailand, from what I've been told, a lot of that talk is in
Thai,
It's
right?
in Thai.
Yes, exactly.
And so we have a proverb or an idiom in English, which is a picture
Is worth a
a
thousand
words. Yeah,
Yes.
picture is worth 1,000 words. And so when you're using a picture, the picture it's not just talk. Talk tends to disappear into the air. It's forgotten very quickly. But a picture, when it's displayed, is relatively permanent. Students can constantly refer to it. Yeah, I think you've hit on three of the main, what we call learning style preferences, okay? The way that students prefer to take in information.
Yes. What's it called?
Yeah, we've
That
got that
approach.
little shorthand thing, VAKT, VECT. Vect. No,
I know the first one.
V is
visual.
Visual, okay.
Yes, visual.
The A is A,
Auditory.
auditory. Think
Is that-
audio, auditory. VAK, I think that's the toughest one.
Oh.
This is your actions. K is kinesthetic. And kinesthetic means learning with your body, getting up, moving around, participating in a role play, doing an action song, maybe miming something. And we've got one more, VAKT.
And T.
That one's another sort of tricky one.
Oh, yes, I know.
Touch.
Feeling.
Feeling. You can think touch, but we use a more technical term, tactile. Tactile. So tactile means hands-on. VAKT, visual. A,
Auditory. K.
K,
And a kinesthetic.
T,
Tactile.
tactile. Remember, T,
Touch.
touch. And if you can create activities that get more than just one, okay, so if students are just reading something, which learning preference, which sense would that be appealing to? Just reading.
Visual.
Okay,
right?
they're using their eyes. They're listening to a tape,
Audio.
okay?
Right.
Audio or auditory style preference. They're watching and listening to a video.
Watching and listening to a video. That would be visual and auditory.
Okay, visual and auditory. They're watching that video and they're imitating the actions of the characters on the video.
Oh. Let's see.
Visual, video,
Visual. They're imitating actions.
actions,
So that would be kinesthetic.
kinesthetic, and they're also probably listening, so
Oh,
also
yes,
That's three.
What about one with all four?
what could
do you
they
think?
do with their hands?
They could make something, couldn't they? What would that be? Would that be kinesthetic?
Yeah, actually, if you're drawing something, that becomes drawing will be kinesthetic because you're moving your pencil. It becomes tactile because you're touching your pen and your paper. You'll be looking at the picture you draw. What are we missing? We've got visual, looking at your picture. We've got
Listening, following perhaps instructions on how
Okay,
to do something.
Good. So there's an activity that we often use called a picture dictation, where the teacher has a picture. I might have this picture, and I'll dictate it to the students, who then listen and try to draw what I'm describing. So in this picture, I might tell the students, well, there's a great big piece of cheese, and there's a man sitting on the left and a woman sitting on the right. They're sitting on the corners of the cheese. And then B listens and draws. So we've got listening, auditory. We've got looking at what you're drawing, visual. Got moving your pencil, kinesthetic. And we've got touching the pencil, the paper, tactile. We've got all four sensory modes going. And if teachers can do that, you have a much better chance of students learning the language, remembering the language. And if it's a conversation or a dialogue, there's a much better chance that they'll be able to recall that language at a later point. And not just for a test or not just for an activity in class, but here we're using tourism pictures. Maybe they'll be able to recall the conversation when they run into foreign tourists here in Thailand.
Right. Well, if they go abroad, visit a foreign country, might
Or
be useful.
good, or if they go abroad. So, learning style preferences, try to get as many as you can. We sometimes talk about multi-sensory activities. And I think in Benny's, you're going to see a multi-sensory lesson.
So shall we have a look?
Let's have a look.
In the group, you choose one of these. And just a second. This is what I want you to do. I want you to choose one of these pictures. Okay? Your group choose one picture, you choose one, you choose one, you choose one. And then together, create a dialogue between two people. You create a dialogue. You can write them, in your notepads or whatever you have. You have notebooks. After you have created this dialogue, in the meantime, I will display whiteboards. Okay? After you're finished with your dialogue in your notebook, then you put that dialogue on the whiteboard. Okay? When we are finished with that, then we're going to turn the whiteboard around and create the skeleton. Okay? Right now, choose one picture. Try to create a dialogue. If you find it very difficult, you can change. But I don't want to see you change a lot because we're wasting time that way. Okay? So in other words, choose one, try to create a dialogue, and then I will show you what to do next. Okay? Choose a picture.
Right. Well, that was very interesting. I noticed Benny uses. He used another kind of visual.
Benny's a very visual kind of guy.
Yes, he is, isn't he?
You mean the whiteboard?
No, not the whiteboard.
That's his specialty.
Yeah.
The pictures?
No, not that. It's his hands. What he does with his hands.
His gestures.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah.
I think he also does things with his head and with his all that body language.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, Benny does a lot of very low levels. At AUA we have what we call pre-level, pre-level A and B, that comes before level 1. And these are real beginners. But Benny's very, very good with beginners because when he gives instructions, he not only tells the students what he wants them to do, but he sort of acts out his instructions using his hands. Now, if you remember in that clip, now try to remember, he does certain things with his hands.
He does many things, yes.
Yeah, I made a little list here. How does he say, put it on the whiteboard?
Right. I think he went like this.
Kind of
right?
like sticking it up there. And Benny's not thinking. He's not planning this. He just does it automatically. And then turn the whiteboard around.
What's
Yeah, he kind of indicated this. And then we're going to create a skeleton dialogue.
It's like this, and then
Yeah, like
down.
magic, okay, writing from top to bottom. Do you remember how he said, now?
Now,
He does this kind of,
Yes.
now. And it's almost like he wants a little extra attention. And then he puts both hands out.
right. I think that was
And this means
listen.
listen very, very carefully. Because if you miss this, you're not going to do the activity successfully. All right. And then he goes back into his gestures. He says, okay, you're going to go to the board and you're going to choose a picture. And if you don't like it, you can change. How does he say change?
Just
How
change.
does he act out?
He's-
Yeah, kind of back and
Change.
forth,
Yes.
change, back to your seat, back to the board, back to your seat.
But
Right, but I don't want you to waste time. He did something for time.
yes, he looked at his
Yeah,
watch.
I don't think he's
Yes.
even wearing a watch. But everyone knows that.
Yes.
And then finally he says, "I'll show you." And how did he do that? Do you
Oh,
remember?
that was great. He did this.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
I'll
kind
show
of a
you.
presentation. Okay, a gift from Benny. It's really interesting having these videos because we get to study, kind of dissect, take apart the style of effective teachers. And is it fair to say that Benny's one of our more popular, effective teachers?
Yes, he is very popular with
I
students.
think students
yes.
really like him.
Yes.
He's got great whiteboards. What I always say about Benny is Benny gives 110%. Okay? He gets so pumped up when he's in there teaching that the students learn they're very motivated, they're inspired because they see that Benny's trying. Benny is no slacker, okay? Oops. No, he's not lazy.
All right. And they can see him. They see him in action, and they can observe him. It's not just listening, right?
Right.
He's
Every-
very visual.
Every action is another way of saying what he means. So he's speaking with his hands and body, a kind of sign language almost. And at the low levels, this makes sure that students understand his instructions. Because at AUA we do a lot of different kinds of activities. And the activities have different kinds of instructions. And it's great that Benny gives them that body language, that sign language at the low levels, because eventually, when they get to the higher levels, I think there isn't quite as much of that. And the teachers tend to rely more on just verbal instructions. So, Benny, the body language specialist.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also noticed that he mentioned something about the skeleton.
Skeleton dialogues. I've heard them called skeleton sheets. I've heard them called picture dialogues. Benny sometimes just calls them skeletons. I'm the guy who came up with this name, skeleton dialogue.
Right.
And you'll see one on your screen. This is a skeleton dialogue for a conversation about daily routines from the Interchange series that we use at AUA. And you can see some of the clip art images. Drive to work, we use a car. Night, we use a moon. Work, Benny decided that a hammer would be a good idea. And so we use little pictures to represent words and phrases. And this is really just for recall, okay? The pictures provide a visual stimulus to help students remember the words and phrases, to help them remember the whole conversation and practice it. But with these funny tourism pictures, I think what we're really trying to do is now get students to create their own conversations. You know, after practicing a conversation, we always try to get students to either personalize the conversation or create or participate in conversations of their own. And so we're going to use these pictures, and you saw Benny do this.
All right. Well, we've looked at how we can use visuals in conversation. How else can we use visuals?
Well, one of the most popular techniques is called a picture story, and it works kind of like a comic strip or like a comic book, and you have, say, 10 pictures, and picture 1 is the beginning of the story, picture 2 is what happens next, picture 3 what happens after that, picture 4, picture 5, picture 10 tells the ending of the story or shows the ending of the story. And we have a sample of one of these picture stories. Keep in mind that this is not a conversation. Now we're talking about another skill, storytelling. And I think it's an important skill for developing fluency. And the pictures help. All right, let's try a picture story. And all of you at home have a chance to try a picture story with us. Let's look at picture number 1. What's that building there? Take a look at the sign. What do you think's going to happen in this story, in that building? Okay, think about it and look at picture 2.
What do you see in picture 2? What is that sign? What do you see in those bags? Okay, picture 3.
How many people are in picture 3? What is the person with the white sweater doing to the person in the black jacket? What does he have in his hands?
Who do you think is the person in the black jacket?
Who's the person in the white sweater?
Yes. All right.
Picture 4.
Now that looks interesting. You see the man in the right. What's he doing? Not sure. Picture 5.
Who's that?
Yes. Does he look happy?
Is that the arm of the man with the white sweater behind him? What's
What?
happening?
Picture 6.
Where did she come from?
Is it a he or a she?
Oh, I thought that was a dress. It's that same man.
Yes.
What happened? Where is he? Let's find out in picture 7.
Yes. Oh, that's interesting. What's that?
Looks like somebody washing dishes. Oh, no,
I
no,
don't
no,
think
no.
so.
What?
Oh.
Look, yeah, there's, what's that there?
What's that?
Down in the bottom corner.
Who is the man? Who is the man in the dark jacket?
It's that, yeah, it's the dark jacket. You can see he's wearing something. Let's go to picture 8.
Yes.
Now, I bet you've seen this scene before on TV.
Yes.
Maybe on Crime Scene Investigation, CSI.
Well, what do you think? Can you guess the ending? What's going to happen? Let's have a look at the next picture. Picture number 9.
9. What is the man holding in his left hand? What is he pointing at with his right hand? Finally,
Oh,
the last picture.
look at that. Who are the people on the right sitting by that table? And who are the people who come in?
Okay. So, did you all imagine a story? I think that that's the key here, that the pictures help us to kind of see or visualize and imagine a story. They act as prompts. When we tell students to write a story, very often students are looking at a piece of blank paper, and believe me, there's no worse feeling for a student of a foreign language than being told to write something looking at a piece of blank paper, or being told to say something. But if you show them a picture, they have a much clearer context, a much better idea of what they're expected to say, or what they might say. B, have you ever tried using something like a picture story in the intensive program?
Yes, I have many times, and they work really well. It helps. I mean, as you mentioned, I mean, if you ask them to write a story without any guidance, it's very difficult. But if you give them some pictures, and it gives them something to focus on at the same time, it allows them to be creative. They don't have to, they can write the story, right, in
their
I
own
guess,
words,
yes,
yeah.
using their own words, or if you take it to another level, perhaps they could mix up the pictures and then write the story in their own way. I'd write a different story.
Sure, if you cut the pictures up into separate squares
Yes.
and ask them to put it in order, not telling them what the correct order is, everyone's going to have a totally different story,
Yes.
a different sequence, probably.
And they could create their own ending. Perhaps, you know, at the end, they could make it a happy ending or a sad ending.
Sure,
or,
you could maybe take one of the pictures away, and maybe take the last picture away, and have them decide how it ends.
Yes.
You know, looking at the pictures, I'm kind of wondering, did you think that the people who robbed the bank needed the money? I don't know.
No.
We need money. B, you know, I know you're one of those people who love giving homework. And to our audience, get ready. B's got some homework for you. What is it, B? What do you want them to do?
Right, well, for our next session, I'd like all of you to go into our website and read The Last Leaf by O. Henry.
And you'll see the website address there on your screen. Most of you should know that website by now. Please bookmark it. If you know how to do that, just pull down that menu that says bookmark and add it to your favorites, because I know that this website's one of your
Yes.
favorites. It's one of ours, right, B?
Yes. Okay, so don't forget, okay? Please read it, and we'll see you next time. Right? Okay.
Bye-bye.
สวัสดีค่ะ